chapter we'll be able to use here. Because the graph must look familiar to you. It's 2 lines, but there's 2 lines this time. But you're not asked to graph them. They're already there for you. So it says, the following situations have already been graphed for you. Please find the point of intersection. Math is funny sometimes. Sometimes we use words that are hard to know what they mean. But I hope this phrase is not too bad. I hope that you look at that and you go, oh, point of intersection. I know what that means. Where'd it go? Point of intersection. Anyone want to give me in their words? And then your voice might appear in the background on the video. Point of intersection. What do you think point of intersection means? No trick. No. The point where the 2 lines meet. That's all we're up to. So I think it's a good math definition. It's not something you have to memorize or anything like that. Most times when you say point of intersection, you know what that means. Yeah? So on your graph, take a look and see if you can figure out what you think the point of intersection is. I'm going to put a dot on mine where the point of intersection is. Nothing too bad so far. So what are the coordinates of that point? Say again? 4 comma, I didn't hear what you said. 70, 4 comma 70. So far, I don't think we've done anything outside of last chapter. We've just gone, okay, what point are we talking about? There's only a couple people on the test who had trouble. They didn't go over then up. And on points, we always go over then up. So this x coordinate, the hours is the first coordinate. The y coordinate is the 70. A couple of people had trouble with that, but mostly that was pretty good. Next, interpretation of that point. Well, that's when you have to read the graph. What are we talking about here? This is hours and total cost. So I don't know if you can read that. Is it too small on yours? It says Bob's lawn service and Maria's lawn service. Is it big enough for you to read that? Barely, right? Just barely. You can see that. Well, this is the whole lesson in a nutshell, I'm telling you. We're almost done. I mean, I'm going to do some extra examples to show off the details here, but what is going on there? What does 4 comma 70 mean in terms of Bob's lawn service and Maria's lawn service and their total cost? Joseph.
The 4 is the many of hours, and 70 is where they meet at the same price.
At the same price, yeah. I'm going to try and write exactly what he said. He said it really well. The 4 is the 4 hours. And the 70 is the charge they meet at. Let me rephrase the question. If you were going to book these 2 lawn services for exactly 4 hours, would it matter which service you used? No, they charge the same for 4 hours. They charge $70. Outside of 4 hours, you might have a choice. Let's say you have a bigger lawn than that. Let's say your lawn's a lot bigger. It's going to take a lot more than 4 hours. Which service would you rather use? Maria. If it's more than 4 hours, Maria's going to be better. But at 4 hours, they're the same. Before 4 hours, maybe you want Bob's service. That's most of the lesson in a nutshell. I'm going to do that a bunch of times, and then we might have to do some graphing on our own. And graphing was pretty good. You should have seen me marking the graphing question. I was smiling. I'm like, Mrs. Todd, look at this. Of course, I don't call her Mrs. Todd, but I said, Mrs. Todd, look at this. They can graph. A couple of the algebraic questions were a problem, but we could graph really well. It's good. Do you have any questions about that example? That's it. That's all there is to it. I'm going to do that 4 times in a row on the first page. More time? All right, let's go again. Those of you who came in late, I'm recording. So if you want to, you can watch it later if you wanted to, or you could, if you're away, the videos will always be there now, okay? Because this chapter's, I don't think it's tougher. I don't believe it's tougher, but often it has caused students problems. So we're taking this seriously. Okay, same thing. I just moved the title over. Point of intersection. Can you see it? Right there. Whoa. What are the coordinates of the point of intersection? Cameron. 80 and 60. A couple of people had the problem that they got these two things reversed. Yeah, just a couple people. It was mostly really good. 80 along here, you go along the x-axis first, then you go up to the 60. And then interpretation of that point. I know it's the point of intersection. But in terms of this question, so this is Ace car rental and quick car rental. Maybe we can come up with a shorter sentence now that we understand what's going on. Anyone got a short sentence to describe what's happening at 80, 60? $80, what?
80 kilometers and it's the total cost.
Right, yeah. So I'm going to try and write what he said. He said, at 80 kilometers, both services, or both companies, charge $60. That's an important point. No joke, that's an important point. When are they the same? Then I can decide which one I want to use. So for instance, like if I wasn't going to drive 80 kilometers, if I was only going to drive 40 kilometers, I might use the quick car rental because they charge less before that. If I was going to drive more than 80 kilometers, I might use Ace car rental. I'm going through this exact thing. We're thinking of booking a trip on March break this year. The first time me and Mrs. Todd have gone away with our kids on March break. And we might have to look at a car rental thing and say, well, how much are we going to use this car for? Which one's going to be less based on what the company does? Do you have any questions about that? Pretty nice so far. Actually, I hope this is what you're thinking. If you give me the graphs, I'm home free. Yeah? But if I don't give you the graphs, we've got to talk about that. We've got to make sure we're good at graphing, because if I don't give you the graphs, then you're going to have to do some work. More time there? Keep checking my microphone. I'm so worried it's not working. Hours, kilometers driven. Jason and Phyllis. Point of intersection. Okay, hopefully that's getting easy. You just go over and you find out where the two lines meet. 8 and 800. Over first, then up. So this is Jason and Phyllis both walking for hours. No, driven. Sorry, I thought it was driving. They're both driving. Can we get an even shorter sentence? The sentences we have got so far have been good. They've really explained what's going on. But we could go shorter here. We could probably get this very brief. Joseph, can you do it briefly?
They walk 8 hours or 800 kilometers.
Yes. I'm just going to add one word, okay? They both walked 800 kilometers in 8 hours. Oh, yeah, good catch. Not walked. I was addicted to walk. I don't know why. I said that before, and then I corrected it, and I didn't get it right. They both drove 800 kilometers in 8 hours. Who was ahead most of the time? Who started off faster? No, who started off farther? Ethan. Jason. Jason started off with a big lead. And then Phyllis eventually caught up. All right? So there's a little more we could answer here. But for now, it's just asking, what about the point of intersection? What does that mean? And it's when they're at the same spot, when they've both done the same thing. It's where they match up. One more on that page. One more on that page.
122.
He's already got it. He's a step ahead of us. It's over here. You just find it. You go up to here. Right there. Point of intersection, 122,000. Did I photocopy it big enough? Can you see it okay? Yeah. Just barely, eh? Maybe almost too small. Maybe I should have gone 2 on a page, but hopefully it's close enough. But what is we talking about here? Guests and total cost. Oh, this is like renting a hall, right? Maybe for like a wedding or something like that. Like how many guests, how much money, yeah? So in that light, what's the interpretation here? Yes, I love that. We're getting very brief now. Both halls cost $2,000 for 120 guests. I got to tell you, this is an old example. I don't know if there's too many halls around you can book anymore. Get 120 people in there for $2,000. Weddings are way more expensive than that. usually about $40 a plate. So if you want 120 people to come to your wedding, there's $4,800 right there. Yeah? Well, you think it over. Make sure you only have one wedding in your life. They're too expensive to do twice, let me tell you. Any questions there? So this sentence can be pretty short. The first couple, we used a long sentence to explain what's going on. But as we get better at it, we might find that we can do a shorter sentence there. Was there somebody there? Or am I dreaming that? All right. We good? Questions? No? Everything's fine? She's like, I refuse to talk to you while your microphone on. We have 3 pages to do together. And then you have a worksheet to do that's got a few examples. Okay. Here's the big example. The big example of the day. This one's different because you don't have the graph. Mr. Todd is considering 2 different mechanics to repair his van. Joe charges $80 plus $10 per hour. Marlene charges $35 plus $20 per hour. The equations are given. Graph the equations. Okay, graph the equation. If we're going to graph the equation, let's just do Joe first. I'm going to do Joe in red. Let's talk about this and this. This went pretty well. Most people knew the difference between the two. A couple people got them reversed. So we got to get that fixed right now. What is the 80 in this question? It's the start value or the y-intercept. I heard both answers. Start value, y-intercept. So let me go to my graph. Your graph's on the same page, right? So you don't have to look around for it. Joe, $80. That's what he starts at. It costs $80. Most companies that repair cars, that's what it does. It's $80 bang right off the bat. Nobody's charging $10 an hour to fix your car anymore. This is an old example. It probably starts at like $60 an hour. But for us, we'll just do a nice easy example. So what's the 10? What does that represent in the question? Slope or rate? Both those words are valuable in different situations. So that means we're going up by 10. Wait, what's the rise and run there? 10 over 1. That went really well too. I was excited. I was like, Mr. Todd, they all got it? It's going good? A couple people had trouble. So up 10 over 1. 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 I don't know why. I enjoy this, so I just keep right on going. Some of you only did a few and then got your ruler out. Yeah, I like that. It's good. Get your ruler out. Or get my ruler out. There's Joe. I did that one in red. Ooh. Do you have any friends that are like a technically person? Every time you say one thing that's just even the slightest bit wrong, they say technically, or they try and correct you on everything? I hate people like that, yeah. Okay, but technically in this one, I know it says y-intercept. I'm just going to write underneath it, just in case it's bothering anyone. Technically, in this question, it's the c-intercept. I'm not warming up to bust you on that or to ask a tough question on the test like that. I just want to mention that in this question, technically it's a c-intercept because c is the variable we're using there. So something to think about. Okay, this one then. What's the start value and the slope this time? Which one's which?
35 is also
Good. 35 start value. 20 is the slope. So I start at 35. Notice I switched to blue. You don't have to, but I want you to be able to see on mine the difference between the two. Start at 35, and this is hard. This is hard, going up by 20s. Is it? 35, if I go up by 20, what am I up to? What's 35 plus 20?
45, no, 55.
55?
Then 45. First side.
Then I got to add another 20?
75.
75? Maybe you need your calculator.
95.
95?
110,
110.5? 115? 135? 155? 175? 195? What's that? And draw the line. Now, something interesting happens here that is the topic for tomorrow's lesson. Is it a teacher?
He's gone, run. Get him, get him, get him.
Hey!
Who is it?
Something fascinating happens here. Maybe you're not fascinated. Look where the point of intersection is. This is the problem with graphing, and we'll talk a lot about it tomorrow. For today, we'll just go with it. How many hours does it match up at?
4.5.
About 4.5. We'll take it. About 4.5. We're okay with that answer.
125.
About 125, okay? We won't get sidetracked by that today. We'll just call it halves or some decimal, and we'll get on with it. Tomorrow, we'll be like, what if we really wanted to know exactly what the number was? And we'll work on that. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? What's the interpretation of that situation? Is my writing not good enough? Here, let me do better. It was 4.5 is what I tried to write there. 4 oop, I did it again. 4.5 and 125. What's the interpretation? What does that point mean when we're talking about Joe and Marlene's repair services? For 4.5 hours, they both, that word both is the key word to shortening this sentence down, charge $125. But we can do a better description here. The discussion. When would you use, oh, let me label them. Which one was which again? The red was 80, that was Joe. There's Joe. And the blue was Marlene. Let me write that down. Marlene.
Marlene is a higher cost than mine, though. Over 4.5 hours.
Right, yeah. For less than 4.5 hours, use blank. For more than 4.5 hours, use, oh, I forget already. Can someone tell me? Which one? If it's less than 4.5 hours, who do you want to use? Marlene is the lower one for less than 4.5 hours. But if it goes more than 4.5 hours, Joe has the better price. Any questions? Yeah, yeah. Any other questions? I got one more example to show you. One more. I'm right in the way. I was like, get out of the way.
Oh, I messed up. Don't mess up.
Crumpled your sheet. Do you need more time? Last example that we're doing together. Lisa is considering 2 different halls to have her wedding at. The hall on River Street charges $600 for the hall and $10 for each guest. The hall on Henry Street charges $50 for the hall, but $15 for the guest. The equations for each hall are already given. I didn't ask you for the equations. I already gave you the equations. Now, here's the problem with questions like this that I want to prepare you for. How many guests do you think is average to go to a wedding?
Oh, without like 200.
200? 200 is pretty high. 150, 125, that's about average for most people, but you can go higher or lower. So we certainly don't want to build a table that goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't care about how many of the guests that is. So we're going to make a different kind of table than we've made before. We're going to jump right along here. And the graph sort of gives a hint at it. It says, look it, we better talk from 10 up to about 200 guests. We better look at every 10 guests. So that's going to change what we're doing here. So we're going to talk about, what are we going to do? River. This is going to be River Street. And we're going to do number of guests and cost. And then we're going to do Henry Street. And if you've drifted off to sleep, you might want to come back for this last little bit here, because something new is going to happen here. And it's not all that crazy, but something new is going to happen with how we build this table. So we're going to look at 0 guests, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. I'm going to go up to 100. Do I need more than that? I don't know yet. But that's what I'm going to do. And for Henry Street, oh, I'm really unhappy that I didn't color code this. I'm not changing anything. If you're madly copying and keeping up with me, just keep it the same. But I'm just going to switch colors so you can see it really good. This is going to be Henry Street. Pen, blue pen, there we go. Henry Street, number of guests, costs 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, really, I mean it when I say, I'm only teaching for another 5 minutes here. Something different's going to happen. So you got to be ready for it. The River Street. For no guests, how much does it cost? You've got to pay the original $600 for the guests. I'm not saying that if you don't book there, you owe them $600. That's not what I mean. What I mean is it starts at 600. You start thinking at 600. Now here's the tough question today. How much total for 10 guests? And how do I get it? 600 divided by 10 would divide up how much that cost is among those guests. That is a good calculation. It tells me how much each person should give me for a wedding gift. Actually, that's sort of how people figure out wedding gifts. They go, how much should I give for a wedding gift? Okay, it's about $60 a plate for dinner. I should get them something that's at least $60. You know, so that is a good calculation. But what I mean is, if Lisa decides she's only going to have 10 guests, can we agree she's not going to do that? She's going to invite more people than that. But if she's only going to invite 10 guests, what would her total charge be? Forget the equations. Forget everything else. Just go 600 for the hall.
Oh, 15 times 10.
Oh, you're doing Henry Street. Do River Street.
Oh, 10.
10 times 10.
Oh.
Good. Is 100. But then your initial 600. 700. I'm going to write some stuff down to help you, but that's all that's going on here. I got to go 600. I got to go 10 times 10. That's what we said. 10 times 10 plus 600.
Hello?
Hi there.
Sir, do you have Beckley Mute Hashing class?
Yes?
Yes, can you see Mr. Dusk in the Vice Principal's office?
Certainly.
Thank you.
But do you see what I did? All we're doing is subbing 10 into the equation. That's what the equation's for. It tells you how to sub in and use this thing. So maybe the equations, just for a moment, start to make a little sense here. Here's what this equation's for. Let me do the next one.
So would it be 20 times 10?
Yeah. 10 times 20 plus 600. What's 10 times 20? 200 plus the 600, 800. Do we have to do that all the way down the table? I don't think so. I don't think you do. I think you do a couple until you're like, I see what's happening here. And then you can continue on. We'll do one more and see if someone sees the pattern.
Would it be 900?
10 times 30 plus 600 is 900. He already knows. I can already see the pattern. I didn't expect you to go all the way down here. 600, 700, 800, 900. I got it. It's an extra 100 every 10 people I get there. So now I can go 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 1,600. And you can use your calculator. I'm okay with that. Let's do it again a second time for the second table of values. How much does Henry Street charge for no people? That's not really true. What's their upfront charge? 50. And let's look at it a different way this time. Let's use their equation this time. The equation says if you want to know how much it costs, go 15 times your number of guests, but then add your $50 on. So this would be 15 times 10 plus the 50. Maybe you need your calculator for that. Maybe not. 15 times 10? 150. But again, don't be shy. This course isn't about mental math. Go get the calculator and go 15 times 10 equals 150 plus 50 is 200. And if you're really good at these, you already see what the pattern's going to be. But I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm going to do a couple more to make sure I see the pattern. If I had 20 people, then I go 15 times 20 plus the 50. 15 times 20, I get my calculator. 15 times 20 equals 300. Add the 50 is 350. And I'm going to do one more and then see if someone's got the pattern going. 15 times 30 plus 50. 15 times 30 is 450, and then 50 is 500. Can anyone see the pattern? How much is it going up by every time? 150, because 10 people costs $150. That's how much more to add on here. So I'm just going to start adding 150s. 650, 800, 950, 1100, 1250, 1400, 1550. And again, you can use your calculator. Just keep add 150 equals. Add 150 equals. Once you have that pattern established, you don't have to do them all. Whew! That was fun. That was fun. Now just graph them. Do I need all the points to graph? Ooh, I don't think so. Welcome back, Devin. I don't know where I put the sheets. I'll take this, and I'll get you a sheet. Isn't Devin lucky? I made a video of what I did to Catherine. Aren't you lucky? I'm videoing this and putting it on the website. Later, you can watch the video and fill it all in if you need to. I'm also going to post a completed version of the note, so you can get it off of there. Or you can get it off a friend. Look at all the options you have for learning today. I know. Nothing. I'm nothing but help, if not helpful. Okay, ready to graph? Do you need more time at the table? Ready to graph. River Street I'm doing in red. What did River Street start at? I already forget. I got to go back and forth. Started at 600? There it was. How much for 10 people? 700? 800? 900? 1000? 1000, which is 1,000. Yeah. 1,100? 1,200. How far did we go? What was the last one I got?
16,000.
16. Do I need more? Do I got it? I got it. I got it. Yeah. You probably don't even need that many. But once you got them, then you get your ruler out. I've got the fancy tool on my active board here, but you'll get your ruler out and you'll draw a line all the way through. Blue. What was 0 for blue? 50? So I want it 50. Oops, blue. I'm almost done. If you're falling asleep out there. 50, 200, 350. Am I doing the pattern right? Was it every 150? 350, 500, 650, 800, 950. I enjoy these questions. You see what's happening? The lines are heading towards each other. Where will they meet? 1,100, 1,250, 1,400, 1,550, 1,700. Is that enough to get the gist of it? Maybe you're like, enough? It's too much. I could have done it without that many points. And you're absolutely right, you could have. Okay? So that's the only difference between these questions and the ones we did at the start of the period, was that you have to make the graph. Okay? So for those of you who are away for the first part of the lesson, through no fault of your own, you're going to want to listen to this part because this is what we did before you got back. She says, "Don't worry, I'm listening." As she writes over on this paper. What is the point of intersection? Who's got this?
100.
She raised her hand just to figure it out. What is it? 110.
1,700.
110 and 1,700. We now can give Lisa some advice. For 110 guests, they both, love that word in these questions, they both charge $1,700. And that's good information. But what does Lisa really want to know, probably? Not just 110. Like, if she has less than 110 guests, she should go to blank. For more than 110 guests, she should go to, oh, which one was which? I forget now. The red one was river. I'll write that on my graph. And this was Henry. So let's tell Lisa, which one? If she wants less than 110 guests, which one was less money?
Oh, less than 100.
Henry. But if she wants more than 110 guests, then which one's less?
Whatever that guy's name is.
River, wasn't it River? I think it was Henry Street and River Street. It was just the location of those particular halls. Well, it just depends. Now it's up to Lisa. We don't have an answer to the question. What we're doing is helping our friend Lisa out. We say, Lisa, here's what you do. Decide how many guests you want. She says, I want 150 guests. We say, okay, go to River Street. Change their mind and says, oh, that was too much money. I'm knocking it down to 80 guests. 80 guests? Henry Street. Okay. Your homework. And folks, I'm starting to check homework tomorrow. This chapter's for real. I refuse. I refuse to let things go bad in this chapter. I'm going to be all over you about the homework. There are other tough chapters, but for some reason, this is the one. This is the one in the past that is, I think it's because it's so early. People have a rough chapter and then they just sort of give up, I guess. I don't know, but we're not. We're not. No, 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 no. Here we go. So your homework is on the next pages. Some graphing ones, just like the ones from last chapter. And I provided graph paper there. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 graphs to build to make this all work. Did I give you good graph paper, the last one? I did. The last question, number 3, has big numbers like the one I did, but I gave you a big slice of graph paper at the back to work on it. 40 full minutes to work on it right now.